I feel like they have to go for a bit more of a let it loose composition.
Let it loose. Well,
Let
you
it
heard it
loose.
here from Stress, but let's take a look at the champion selects and how the bans are coming down. So Lulu and Morgana out from RMU, while LeBlanc and the Hecarim from last game taking that one away from Zig.
So here's the change-up. Obviously, UConn this time are going to be over on the red side. They will get the counter pick for one of the lanes. So taking away the Hecarim from Zig. Will they ban the Aurelia? I feel like that has to be the last ban here as we head towards our first pick of the game. Otherwise, RMU are just going to take that for Zig.
Yeah, so the final ban from RMU was the ban against Mr. F with the Cho'Gath. It was just annoying for them enough to take that one away from them.
Yeah.
And just like, you don't even get your Cho'Gath. Urgot was the last ban from UConn, and the instant lock-in of Swajani as the other big top-tier jungler. Gragas is still open, though.
Okay, so at this point, you're basically saying, UConn, we're going to take Aurelia, or we're going to counter-pick top on UConn's side of things. I like RMU. They're not getting baited into just taking Aurelia first pick. They're picking the far stronger, far better overall pick of the Sejuani here. You've got the engage, you've got the team fight presence, you've got the strength out of the jungle as well. So RMU certainly sticking to their game plan, even though the tasty morsel of Aurelia left open, not enough to bite.
Indeed, and I really just want UConn to go with just run at you, kill you early, like take it to them in the early game and the mid game, because if they try to play RMU at the same game, I'm not sure if it's going to work out. We saw it last time. Look at those lock-ins. Maokai and Lucian out from UConn, insta-lock of Fresh and Kalista from RMU. That was banned last game.
Yeah, RMU have just done that again. Now they picked up 2 picks, as you said, that were banned in the previous game. Aurelia later on would make a 3rd. They take the Thresh away from T Dollars, so he's not going to be able to try and make bank on that, but didn't really get too much in the way of hooks. They didn't get a kill in the last game, so play and catch wouldn't have done it, and it's been locked in.
Bud has been locked in. Oh my god, fantastic.
Okay, so this is the first game we will have casted on Bard. He has been played in other regions. China have played him a couple of times. If there's a champion that you're looking to run at people, it's great if the people you're running to can't get away. So you throw down that ultimate, close the distance, fight on top of them.
Yeah, and they can get on top of them very, very easily. The Bard with the magical journey, and they just pile on. And with the Maokai, with the Vi, Lucian will be able to get in close quarters as well. Let's see what the last pick is from UConn. Probably something tanky, and it's probably something that wants to be up in the face of RMU. But if there's any time to take something new out, it's going to be here. Probably not the Gangplank, but Na and Orianna will be the final 2 pickups from RMU.
Yeah, I like this. Tails picking up for Zig here, getting that Na, is basically saying we'll go for team fight presence. No need to pick up an Aurelia. Difficult to kill. Anybody when a Maokai's around, Aurelia can kind of get pushed away in those fights. So I like this adjustment. Orianna worked well for Leo last game. Why change it up? Gives them extra scaling, gives them good team fight. That's one heck of a wombo combo. If you look at a Sejuani ultimate into Na and Orianna, that's a very dangerous one. Take Kalista as well.
Yeah, I mean, no one's ever going to be able to touch her with that front line, with that initial combo. They have to survive that and then get on Kalista, who's going to be so slippery. They've another 13 seconds for UConn to lock in their final pick, which will round out their composition to keep them in the tournament here at the NACC, and it will be Ziggs. Not Zig, but Ziggs from UConn. Last time I saw this was from Power of Evil, and it didn't work out well.
So again, it's a champion that's going to kind of farm very well in that middle lane. You're not going to get the kill pressure onto Orianna, so it's going to give them the opportunity to blow somebody up from afar. You look at the Bard ultimate. If you time it right with the Ziggs ultimate, you can get a pretty easy kill. However, if you time it wrong and you layer them, that's not a good opportunity. So interesting to see UConn going for a fairly knife edge kind of composition. They have to catch people. They have to use these ultimates well to win.
Yeah, this is definitely risky, even riskier than before when I saw you eating your food over your dress shirt. I was like, that's risky, but this is even riskier, Stress.
What happens backstage stays backstage, Pulse.
No, it doesn't. It goes alive.
Well,
but,
you know...
yeah, UConn. This is definitely more of what I wanted to see from them.
It is, but you know, we're having a great time here in Santa Monica at the Barca Hangar here for the NACC finals. And you know, it's not only just here, across the country as well. Everybody's having a lot of fun. I've seen tweets from people in Utah that are supporting UConn as well. Lots of fans across America for it. Northeastern University over in Boston as well. They're cheering on UConn, so they need to get it done here for UConn. Need to get it done for their region. They've got to try and make this a 1-1 scoreline and try and get themselves back into this this game.
Yeah, well, they're backed up against the wall, but they have nothing to lose, and nothing is scarier than UConn with nothing to lose. Let's get into this game stress and see how this one works out. It will be game 2 of this best of 3 in the second semi-finals to determine who will make the finals of NACC between RMU and UConn. Let's get into this one.
So, Bard is on the Rift. Is this...
Look at him in all his glory.
Yeah. Now I've got a question for you.
What is that?
T-Dollars, aka T-Money.
Yeah.
A Chimes Money. Is he now T-Dollars, aka...
Are they currency?
T-Money, aka T-Chimes for this game?
But in what universe would those be, you know, methods of currency?
Who knows? You just go on a magical journey and you find out what all the currency is. Well, I'm on a magical journey. Now we're using dollars. I'm used to using euros. It's a bit of a weird change, but
it is.
Nevertheless.
Hey, look, it's a chime.
Speaking of changes, at this point, this is very different from what UConn did in the last game. They didn't go this deep into the jungle. The same RMU didn't really do this. They kind of went for a more blind lane swap. So this time, the gloves are off. We've got the between the turret wards down, and the teams are scouting them out.
Yeah, Toys as well will be the member exiting from the jungle. Has been seen out by that ward that will be Gnar trying to disrupt him as he goes back.
Oh, Boomerang.
Boomerang.
Got him.
Stop him, but still they have no vision of what's happening in their own jungle, and the rest of the UConn is still staying there, and most likely they could go for a lane swap here.
They could. I'm interested to see how Bard works in a lane swap because, so we're on 5.7.
We are.
So we've had the additional damage added to Bard. We've had the couple of changes, a little bit of cooldown adjustment on some of his abilities. So at this point, Bard is not as weak as he was on 5.6. A lot of supports over in Europe are still saying you have to lane swap him to get him through a tough laning phase. Interestingly enough, though, T-Dollars has actually taken Ignite here for extra pressure on top of that. So it's going to make kill pressure in that 2 versus 1 lane even more crucial here for UConn. So if Zig's not careful, he could get bursted down pretty quickly by this Lucian and Bard.
Well, let's see if it works out. He will have the hop, of course, to get out of danger, but he will be zoned away. That's a lot of damage early game, especially those meeps flying towards you. There's a lot of damage, and he's got the Spell Thief's Edge, so that'll proc twice, getting all the value from those auto attacks.
And this is one of the very weird things about a Bard lane, is your minions betray you when playing Bard. You cannot sit by minions because 1 Q, a Cosmic Binding, if it hits both of you, you're stuck in place. Those meep auto attacks as well, they're just going to deal extra damage. So expect T-Dollars to buy the lane presence here for Enchantress Clara and then roam around, pick up the rest of his charms around the map and get himself further and further towards that level 6.
Yeah, it's like, what am I playing against here? Misfortune? Do I have to worry about the double up? But yeah, it is Jasmine now on the Vi, going into his own jungle to pick up that red buff. Now Oberon will be taking his own blue buff as well, so we'll be trying to put him behind, and T-Dollars still pushing away Ziggs. 3 CS to 7. We'll see how the rest of this lane swap works out. This is a very crucial part of the game for both teams.
So the difference in this game and the last game, you look at Zig, he actually went around the map. In fact, no, I tell a lie, Zig was on Hecarim last time. So it was Toys that went around the map very early on, making plays around with the jungler Jasmine. This time Zig has just gone up and sat in the top side. He's going to just receive a lot of these minions under the tower. There's not a lot that UConn can do to force him away now that he's safely under tower. So Zig's going to get a fair amount of experience here. Now with Mini Bestia here, they can actually turn the pressure back towards UConn. Now you have that catch potential in the lane.
Yeah. Still, the damage output will be fairly low, and if they line up, then Cosmic Binding, and that will stop both of them. Toys in the bottom lane, still farming up. That's the sapling down there as well. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Leo and Mr. F, this time in another farming matchup with Orianna and Ziggs.
Yeah, there's not a lot going to happen in this mid lane for a while. That's
well, there is right now.
Well, just a bit of laughing. I mean, Ziggs is even with us here in the Barca hangar, so this is going to be a blast. But Zig right now has Mini Bestia alongside him up in this top lane. And I'm really interested to see what T-Dollars is going to look to build. Actually, hold that thought. Mr. F is pushed fairly deep in the mid lane.
Overruns there. He lands the Arctic Assault and forces the flash out. Leo will follow with the auto attacks, and the dissonance is enough to burn that summoner. So, pretty good gank in the early game. We saw that last game as well. He burnt that mid laner summoner. Yeah,
and currently no wards out from Mr. F in that mid lane. No real, between Jasmine and Mr. F, they haven't decided who's warding where. It's still a tad early on that, with Jasmine having gone back to buy and not being able to afford a ward. So it's a fairly straightforward gank for Oberon, and now he's looking for a second gank path because they've just read that T-Dollars has left the lane. They will see him come back, but Oberon already has the position on him. T-Dollars this early on is fairly weak.
Oh, good luck. He flashes towards
he can't get
the E, but he can't get through the magical journey. Ziggs actually misclicks though and goes all the way through the wall. T-Dollars, he goes as well. Will be trying to get away. Oberon comes up with a permafrost. Will be flashing away, and T-Dollars makes it out alive.
The magical journey play. I liked it from Zig though. It was, I'm following to cut you off.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, he can't get through it. It's going to time out. No, through goes T-Dollars. And man, magical journey.
I do wonder if it was a misclick though, because there's a play you can just walk into a bush, and because they're clicking on you, you click on the magical journey instead. It's like, oh, well, I'm gone.
I feel like it was intentional, just from like, okay, if you actually do get there, I'm going to put myself in your way. Flash gank in the bottom lane.
Yep.
Ooh.
Right onto Tails, does not quite land. Burns the flash summoner from Tails, however, so he'll have to be a little more defensive in the bot lane, one-on-one against Toys. But still, exerting that pressure. Both junglers have done a pretty good job in the early game.
They have. I would like to see more wards from Jasmine and Mr. F in that mid lane, but Mr. F hasn't gone back yet. He hasn't been able to shop. Jasmine this time is going to go back again. We'll see what he looks to pick up here. But Leo's having a fairly easy time in this mid lane. He is just sat there farming away. Flash being down on Mr. F is a big cooldown that releases a lot of that lane pressure that Ziggs can exert at times, but Mini Bestie has been spotted back on the bottom side of the map. This is going to signal that RMU are looking for a dragon sometime soon. Yeah,
not a lot that Toys by himself can do about it. Jasmine is still on the top side as well, and even knowing that there's 3 members in the bottom lane, does not decide to go down there, so he might try and make something happen up against Zig in the top lane, maybe go for a fast push, but what's for sure is this dragon is going to go over to the Robert Morris University. And this dragon will be going down with the Ren stacks as well. No way it's going to get stolen away. There we go. And now going back into the bottom lane, still farming up. Jasmine still farming through his jungle. So UConn were not very interested in contesting his early dragons, despite going for a composition that really just tries to get ahead.
So UConn at this point, they don't have the ultimates that they need to actually take a fight. Vi is still level 5, so is Bard, so is Lucian. They were still on the top side of the map as well. So UConn rightfully saying, okay, you take the first dragon, but be prepared for a fight over the second. And that's going to be the key point here for UConn, is when they get their ultimates, can they actually take this fight? Can they line the ultimates up is the real question, because Bard is the first champion really, well, maybe the second if you include Kalista, where you can really seriously negatively affect your teammates if you misclick. Kalista, at least you get to control when you're coming out. Yeah. But speaking of, Kalista will take the lantern back.
Well, the original one was a Nivea, where you just wall off your teammates.
True. But this one you really have no choice. You kind of just got to sit there until the ult expires.
Force Sonya's, yeah.
Well, I really hope they haven't got a bunch of ults to kill me when we come out of this. But,
however, if it's used perfectly, this big wombo combo from RMU, oh, you want to use it? I'm going to Zonya's my own team, and all of that's going to go right over us.
And this is one of the big things coming into this game that we were looking at from UConn, is what can they do that will throw RMU off their heavily structured game plans? How much of RMU played against Bard? How used to they getting picked off halfway across the map by a Bard ultimate that just hits you and the rest of the team follows up? That's a big question. You have to feel like RMU have had enough time to play against this, so they should be somewhat prepared. If Bard comes up, every single team in the LCS has discussed Bard to the point where if somebody picks it, what do we do? So I'm not too worried if I was on RMU, but UConn still maybe have caught them with something a little bit different.
Well, we were talking before how we're gonna hold off on that, because there's the shockwave. He follows up, and that's going to be first blood going over to Leo with just a well-coordinated gank, basically doing it himself as Toy. All he wanted to do was ward, but he found an Orianna.
Toys followed the breadcrumb line into the top bush, and inside
and the wicked witch of Orianna killed him.
That's, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That's how that went. The
fairy tale of Runeterra.
I'd read that. I'd read that
to my children.
But Toys certainly didn't read the play out of Leo. It was a really easy kill for Leo. You don't get many kills like that with just roaming up. Just like, oh, top laner just walked into my shockwave. Sweet, I'll go back mid.
So both junglers are now in the bottom lane. Jasmine sitting in that bush looking
Teleport
for a follow-up. There's the ultimate. It does not land. And now onto Tails. Oh, they catch him. Wow, he's going for the lantern in mid-air. Fantastic mechanical play from Jasmine.
No dragon up right now, though, so UConn have to do something with this. Bot tower would be the one to go for. Zig's trying to take top as well at the same time. UConn have kind of just split up. They don't have anything to take, very similar to the first game where they had the map pressure for just a minute, but couldn't really do too much with it.
Yeah, and now the top tower will be going down to Zig in that top lane over to the Nas. That will be the first tower of the game. How much can UConn do in the bottom lane now? Because the minion wave is slowly dying. I don't think they can kill the tower quite yet. But in the mid lane, 87 farms 88, completely dead, even top lane, slight advantage over to RMU. In the bottom lane is the reverse Toys, making sure that Ziggs can't just go back to base super easily. And Oberon seeing that pink ward, just going to be taking that one away. Everyone going through the motions right now, Stress, but let's turn our attention to the items, because everyone has gone back to base and started those one off. Bottom lane, both sitting on the BF swords. Mid lane with the Chalice and the Phoenix Codex over to Leo. In the jungle, Janman actually going for an earlier game build with the Warrior enchant on top of his Trailblazer.
Yeah, so looking for the catch potential, get a lot of damage down early on, make sure you can pick up the kills. This game is very similar to the last one in the sense that this is even for now. This is more even than the last one. The last one was slightly more different, and CS top lane, there's a big fight between two gargantuan champions.
It's going to take a while, but Jasmine and Leo will be speeding up a little bit. I have to feel Leo coming in as the shockwave lands, and so the order like he gets him as he comes in with the advance. Now Jasmine as well has to back away as Oberon is there, goes for the tower dive, does not land the last boomerang. Order in from mid lane though. It is Ziggs now coming in to pick up the kill. Mr. F coming from downtown. And
Leo still wants
to kill him off. This is a 1-on-2. Gets him with the ultimate, locks him down. Will be jumping away with the satchel charge. Now turning away. There's still a minefield that he has to walk through, and he's completely caught off. Fantastic setup from Mr. F, and that'll bring him to 3-2 with the advantage to UConn.
Bristles is not very light-footed, so
no, you're gonna
no
hit
way
every
you're
single one of
passing
those.
that Hextech minefield. But a nice follow-up there from Mr. F, getting the ultimate up into the top side. Toys went for the kill and just barely missed it in that engage as he ended up falling, and Toys is having a little trouble settling himself. Hook doesn't quite land.
No, but Clara still taking a lot of damage. Does the ultimate coming down to keep Mini Bestia in place. The ultimate as well from Tails to lock them down. Jasmine coming in for the gank, looking to chase him down. Does he have the auto attack? Yes, he does, from the excessive force. Now Mini Bestia looking to get away from this, but now he just has to sit in the bush. Goes for the hook onto T-Dollars, but T-Dollars is out of there, and the double kill for Jasmine.
Oh, hold on to something, because there's no safety in that wall when a Cosmic Binding's around. Didn't even need it for that one, though, as Jasmine makes his presence felt in the bottom side, and with Dragon just about to spawn, Toys and Zig are fighting. Yeah,
1-on-1, and Ziggs is getting the better of Toys in the top lane. He'll be taking a trip back to base, no doubt. Will be using Sap Magic to keep him sustained. But UConn going for the second Dragon of the game. It will be their first.
Zig had to take that fight because he needed to shove the minion wave into the top tower to even up the objective trade. One Dragon for one turret. That's something that RMU will be happy to trade for now. But as we said, the second Dragon of the game, UConn looked to fight it, and fight it they did.
Yep, UConn trying to ramp up this pressure in the early game. Jasmine still going for more damage. Now picked up the double longswords, looking for the brutalizer. Just trying to do as much as he can in this early game, mid game, and just basically put the team on his back is what he's trying to do. In the mid lane as well, now 2 kills apiece as they've gotten those from Roams, both sitting on the Fiends, and as soon as they get back into mid lane, it's still just farming all day. And you know, we were talking about this in the group of the Stress, and like how RMU, the game that they lost was against the Riven, the weird pick, and whether UConn could maybe pull something weird out themselves. They've currently picked up Bard, so the strategy of just tilt them, we'll see if that will come through here.
Well, we've seen one good Bard ult, one that didn't quite land so far. Oh,
he's been caught.
Journey,
and there's the
has he
follow-up
got it?
as well, looking for the magical journey. Not quite there. Tempered Fate, well, his fate was sealed. Looking for the death sentence, and comes in with the tomb as well. Takes him down. Mini Bestia tanking all of that aggro. Great ultimate out from Swerjani.
Yeah, really nice setup there by RMU. They set the trap, and in walked Bard looking for those chimes. Ziggs ult crosses through. This might not be done here. UConn will back away. T-Dollars had his ult, but didn't see that gank coming.
Yeah, Glacial Prison, very good so far from Oberon. You need to be dead on with it now after the nerf. and he's been landing it pretty much all game. So that's exactly what RMU need to pull themselves back into this game. And I say pull themselves back in, but they have 2 towers, and they're still ahead in gold.
Yeah, RMU are looking pretty good again. This time it's a little better off for UConn. They're looking for a mid lane gank here to set up from Jasmine. Leo, he has not got his flash.
Shotting up the Vault Breaker, lands. There's the ultimate on top of himself, but Leo is not quite enough to save his life, and Mr. F will laugh all the way to the bank.
He will indeed, but you know, top lane, look at the difference in CS. The last couple of minutes is really opened up in favor of Zig. He got that tower down. He's managed to pick up a couple of assists for himself as well. Now he's ahead in farm, and he's going to become a problem. He really has been one of the standout players on RMU, but when you look at a player like Zig, he has been around the North American scene, just bouncing kind of around Challenger, just below LCS for a very long time. I believe he used to be on Pulse Esports, then joined Team Dignitas a long time ago when I was still on the team. I remember when they joined, and you know, that's a player that has so much experience on history, this stage, and you can see that he's just getting a lead in every single lane and staying ahead.
And that is such a big difference. Now, we were talking about in the promotion tournament even how just sitting on the stage is so different from playing in your bedroom. And RMU, with all of this setup, with all of the support they've had, don't even look remotely phased.
No, they certainly don't. They talked about their the sports psychologist that came in and, you know, helped them, like, how do you deal with being on stage? You've got to make sure that you're very centered, and that it looks exactly what RMU have done. On the other side, though, you kind of look very composed as well. Let's not, you know,
discount that.
Shy away from that either. UConn have looked composed. They've been able to fight RMU across the map and are still looking like they can compete. This is a very even game right now as well. Really only a couple of 100 gold in it. Dragons are even as well. UConn, if they can take a good fight here, if they can get an engage, they can still look to, you know, take a big lead in this game.
UConn still needs to keep playing their own game, however. They just can't play the game that RMU want to play, because, well, if they go late, if they play this slow, methodical game, then RMU will win every single time, 9 out of 10 at least. UConn, though, they dictated the early game, and they came out with this Vi pick. They've been killing people constantly. If they can continue to do that, then they'll be in much better shape.
Still even on CS with mid and bot. That's a little different from the last game where there were leads. Honestly, RMU have to respect the Bard engage. They have to. I mean, you try and go for an engage. This would be the great time.
Mid-air, and the ultimate as well from Leo closes in. Tempered Fate will be taking out the minions, but now the teleport in from the top lane comes out from Toys. Will be going right onto Oberon. He's completely split up from his team. And there's the ultimate coming in from Ziggs as well, but they are able to disengage as the Maelstrom comes up from Toys. So all in all, no one goes down, but a lot of summoners and cooldowns burnt from both sides.
Mr. F getting a little caught out there. I thought T-Dollars may have thrown down a defensive ultimate, but they're saving it for offense. Now he's getting himself out with the journey. Nice binding.
Yeah, and Tails goes through the journey with him, gets him with the Rends. Not quite enough damage to finish him off, but they are closing in from the side. Looks for the pierce, the shot in the dark. Doesn't find T-Dollars, however. Will be still trying to get that health back, and we'll have to go back to base. Jasmine on the top side will be making sure he can do that. Mr. F basically out of mana, so he has to go back home as well. And now the push starts from RMU.
RMU, though, have wave control in their favor. They push top lane in, they pushed bot lane in as well. Bot lane actually is about to push just away from them. It depends on this next minion wave that kind of joins that just spawned in the base. It's kind of just going away from them. So UConn won't have their bot tower pushed in anytime soon, but Dragon is coming up. It's all about that bottom lane. See, if UConn can manage to get that wave into the tower and create a big stack, it draws someone from RMU down there. It's not the biggest distance between Dragon and the tower, but it might be enough to catch somebody with that Bard ult. Make sure you can get the engage.
Enjoy this exciting commentary over the minions and how they fight each other. Just go down there, it's like, he lands the auto attack, he takes down the enemy caster minion.
Wave control is exciting sometimes, man.
It is. Pushing minions. Anywho, UConn now in their own jungle, now trying to fight for control over this Dragon area. Both teams fighting tooth and nail for this vision, but it is so important for the setup as the Dragon is now live. as the bomb's coming out from Mr. F. Any poke he can get down is incredibly valuable for UConn.
And he's in a great spot right now. 3-0, just a tad behind on CS. The problem is, can he clear this?
Oh,
ooh.
There's the ultimate. The Tempered Fate doesn't quite land, though. And he will be backing away. Everything was used to try and get on top of it.
That's two big ultimates used. I don't know whether the Bard ultimate was necessary there. You look at what that's used for. That's if RMU don't back away, and you just zig-zulted the way.
Yeah. So I mean, they're going to back away.
RMU at that point would have to have some pretty big cojones if they wanted to stay in front of that turret with no minions. But that Bard ult is a quarter of the way off cooldown, so that's something we've got to kind of get used to and keep a track of here. UConn are going to start this dragon. Botwave did shove in, and Orianna went to clear it. Oberon is still not there either, so that is a dragon going down in favor of UConn. So the ultimates turn out to be worth it in the end. UConn should be careful of fighting here, though, because they're going up against RMU with their ultimates up. I'm not sure about this engage.
Yeah, they don't go for it in the end. Jasmine didn't land his auto attack. Oberon, no, the double man stun with the Glacial Prison. Looking for Jasmine as well. There's the Shockwave. Lands onto Mr. F, looking to take down the mid laner. Toys from the top lane, looking to do the damage onto the back line, but there's no one to clean them up. Clara now taking down the front line. They've been away for too long. A 2-for-1 trade so far by RMU.
And RMU are going to look for that mid tower that they set their sights on earlier as well. Again, the ultimates weren't there, but UConn actually were able to fight that a little better than they really should have. Good ult onto two people to begin the fight from RMU's Oberon to make sure that they could get two of the slightly more squishy champions on the enemy team. But it's always going to be difficult pushing into a Ziggs. Yeah. If there's one thing we learned in Europe and then sent jerseys across was that if you've got a Ziggs player, it's real difficult to push into turrets. He just clears waves too fast.
Well, we're learning on the NACC broadcast with Pulse and Stress. But Mr. F is clearing out those minions, as you were just talking about. But let's take a look. Let's take a step back at those items once again. In the mid lane, has picked up that Void Staff now on top of the Athenes, just knowing that front line is very strong. But there's not a whole lot of magic resist there. I mean, there's the Hex Drinker from Zig, but yeah, the Leo's got the Fiends and Holy Grail. Interesting second pickup.
I wonder whether that was to do with how much money he was sat on when he backed.
Right.
Because if he was looking for Rabadons, he would have had to be on 1600. And if he didn't have that stacked up, you're then thinking, I really don't want to have to back again because the Dragon's going to come up at some point here, and I can't. So I wonder whether that's it. I would have liked to have seen him pick up a needlessly large rod item at least.
I just
whether it's like a Ludens, which you don't really need on Ziggs just because you have a wave clear as it is, or whether it's the Rabadons that's for a big spike. Interesting decision.
I wonder what the value is now. I wonder if there's a math student out here in the crowd who can tell us.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure. But over on the other side, needlessly large rod items started to be built, or very close to being built by Leo with that Zhonya's Hourglass. So if one Zhonya's wasn't enough coming out from T-Dollars, his ultimate, a second one should keep Leo alive.
Yeah. The Tempered Fates have honestly been hit and miss this game, but a good one can completely win a fight. It is very difficult to land though.
Yeah.
That has to be said. But Leo and Oberon now heading back into their jungle, just clearing out all the wards that they can on their way down, but there's nothing there. And so far, RMU's vision control has been pretty damn good. Looking at the pink ward line as well, pink goes down, you missed one, and Oberon will be clearing away. Tails in the bot lane, Tempered Fate doesn't land. Got him. That'll be delaying the minion wave just a little bit, and he'll be slowing the push.
That's how you set up a slow push. No, it's really not. Don't do that. That's not the kind of bad ultimate you're looking for. But you already alluded to, it's difficult to hit because you basically got to hit it with the travel time.
Yeah.
It's like a Ziggs ult. It has a travel time. You get an indicator once it's cast as it's incoming. So you've got to be really set on standing where you are if you want to get caught by a very stray Bard ult.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if he starts using it defensively as well, because we talked about it in Champions League, but I'm going to reiterate now. If they can mitigate some of those big ultimates from RMU, the Shockwave, the Glacial Prison as well, maybe even a Nara ultimate, that's a large portion of RMU's team fight out the window. There's the ultimate coming in from Jasmine though in the mid lane. Hextech Minefield, he'll have to flash away from that one. Oberon taking all the damage, but getting the shields from Orianna as well. Now the teleport in from top lane. Jasmine will be falling down, and Ziggs is trying to trade off against the front line there. Ziggs The other Ziggs is still putting down the damage. Mini Bestia with the flash and the flay and the ultimate from downtown. That's how you Zigzord, putting all the damage and all the hurt onto Leo. Now walking through that minefield. Mini Bestia, meanwhile, took down T-Dollars. So it's a good ultimate, but RMU come out ahead.
Enchantress Clara was down in the bottom lane, though, at the same time, so RMU knew that they had the numbers advantage. No ultimate on T-Dollars either, so no way of saving. In they go. Ooh.
Almost amazing, but he gets the kill anyway. Fantastic.
Fishing
Tails
with
takes
Thresh.
him down. Extreme fishing with Thresh.
Hey, Mr. F has Ducky, so he can just kind of like paddle around for a while with that. But, you know, RMU, they've just exploded this game completely in their favor for now. They have a lead that they were looking at about, if you look at the last game, about 10 minutes earlier. However, Mini Bestia gets his recall stopped. It's not going to be too much more than that.
I wonder if the culling could have killed him there, off guard. Because he had it up, but...
Maybe.
Yeah. Either way,
Jasmine wants to go in.
Looking for blood. However, there wasn't him just time.
Do you want this fight with Zig, who's about to turn into Mega now? I don't think that's worth an assault and battery at that point. But what it does allow now is UConn delayed the backs. They stop RMU for getting full control of this Dragon area. Now UConn can clear out 2 pinks that are here around Dragon. They've got wards behind them. No teleport available for either team. They were both used in that last fight. T-Dollars, get the pink. Okay. he knows it's there. He got the auto down. So they now can respect the vision from that bush. All right, but UConn had to back away.
20 seconds left in this Dragon's Crest. It will be the 4th one of the game. And UConn are setting up for it. The time the blue buff with it as well. There goes the ward coming down. Jasmine has been caught. This is a good setup for them. There's the Tempered Fate. Lands onto 3 players. But where's the follow-up? Actually just mitigates the culling. Mini Bestia pushed forwards. There comes in with the death sentence as well. And actually knocks him right back into the magical journey, but Mr. F, he's nowhere near it and can't really escape from that one. A 2-for-1, trades the support for the mid laner and jungle. RMU will take that trade any day of the week.
And there's the double-edged sword of the Tempered Fate. You get it on 3, it looks good, you can set up your engage, but the split-second coordination that is required to get the Bard ult, layer the ultimate as it drops.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to do at this point, and that could have turned the fight in a completely different way. RMU now, 2 dragons on the board. They're up in towers, 4 towers to 0. They're up in kills, they're up in gold. This time, last game, when they were like this, they closed it out.
Yeah, and RMU are just 1 game away from making the grand finals, but let's take a look at that last engagement. We're going to see that Tempered Fate once again here.
Yeah, what I want to see is whether Clara had already cast the culling before it hit. Oh, it's right at the same time as it hits. Man, that's so unfortunate at that point, but from here, T-Dollars takes himself on holiday, flashes out, gets through the journey, but that's so unfortunate. That kind of team fight, that could have been make or break for UConn. If they'd have been able to get a lot more damage down, they could have taken that, but Jasmine, every time he arrives here, Zig's about to go mega, T-Dollars is here.
Well, this is 1 versus 3, that knocks him into the wall, gets the wall up, lands a 2-man Gnar, follows it with the ultimate. Jasmine's dropping low because Tails is there, detonates him with the Rend. Now everyone is closing in, another great setup by the Fate's Core into Mini Bestia, who will be locking down the rest of your team. A nice double pickup there for RMU. What do they translate it into? They're all pinging the Baron.
Yeah, they're looking for the Baron here as RMU. These games, they've been close right up until 20 minutes, as our analyst desk was saying, and then RMU just showing complete dominance from there. They've almost given nothing over to UConn after that fact, where they just take the first team fight. RMU have managed to turn a lot of the lanes on their head. Now 260 CS to 220 in the middle lane. They're still up a little bit in that top lane, and about even in the bottom lane, but right now RMU have full control on the pace of the game, and that really is the key factor here against UConn.
Yeah, 14-9 in this game, 4 towers over their opponents. UConn really are up against it, and they are 1 game from being eliminated, while RMU, if they win this game, they're making the grand finals with UBC and in another best of 5, or rather the first best of 5. This is a best of 3. This is difficult for them, but they're still not out of the game yet.
And this has been a very different style, but from this series and our last series with UBC versus A&M. A&M and UBC, we had pentakills, we had constant fighting again and again. I wonder how RMU will deal with that kind of style out of UBC. UBC said they're bloodthirsty, and I kind of liken this back to the likes of SK Gaming and Unicorns of Love, apologies for the Europe drop here, but it's exactly what it feels like, is can you be drawn into the madness of a team that wants to fight? And we've seen it go the other way, as, you know, this time RMU, will they be drawn, if they make it out of this game, will they draw into the madness of UBC? UConn will have something to say about that, though, as they want a team fight themselves. However, they're so far behind.
Zig in that one-on-one up against Jasmine, who was getting all of those early game kills, and the one-on-one just completely destroys him. And he's got the frozen mallet as well, so there's no getting away from that Ziggs once he's on top of you. Tails in the mid lane, just split pushing by himself, taking a page out of Celiba's book. Just like, I'll be split pushing with this AD carry, don't even worry about it. Now the middle inhibitor as well, it's getting sieged in. RMU are just taking absolutely everything. Now in the top lane, they are pushing in again. And Ziggs trying to take this bottom turret. The middle inhibitor's going down. Everyone loses in this one-on-one.
Oh, and Tails manages to get the inhib down in the bottom lane. Zig is getting rooted out for now by Toys. But Tails is going to cross in behind him, and that is going to be potentially a tree getting felled. But Tails taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, he is, as Toys comes in, but there's Ziggs as well, and T-Dollars, he comes in, and there's the ultimate coming in, and you get a Zhonya's, and you get a Zhonya's, but it's only on the minions. So, not a lot of happens there. 17-9, and RMU are coming in for the kill.
Yeah, RMU are looking to close this one out. They're going for 3 inhibitors. Zoriana pushes the top lane as well. This might not be the very end of the game, but RMU have just suffocated UConn in the last 10 minutes.
Top lane as well, Leo was just split pushing all while that fight was happening. Every single member is stronger than the counterpart for RMU against UConn. There is so little they can do in this scenario. However, they still have the ace up the sleeve. A perfect Tempered Fate, not onto minions, might be able to pull this game back for them.
Yeah, they need one last ditch fight here for UConn. They need to just shut RMU down for just a minute, just enough to get themselves over to that dragon potentially. But you look at how far ahead RMU have been on the itemization. They've just got so much across the board. You can see Blade of the Ruined King completed alongside the Hurricane and the BT. 4 Tails on that Callista. He's already building himself some magic resist here as well.
I also like to take a look at the vision again, because look how far it's been pushed up this game. It's gone from the river to the mid, into the jungle, and now in the base of UConn. They have absolute control. 5
pink wards out on the map as well. That's somewhat of a rarity at times, but that is going to be the 3rd inhibitor of the game going down, and RMU, I mean, they've just got to wait for the waves now, surely. Yeah. Surely at this point, there's no point backing away for Dragon. Yes, the Baron has expired, but 3 waves of supers should be enough.
Yeah, they have the Iceman advantage, they have the kill advantage, the tower advantage, they have the gold advantage. Everything is going in their way. One last play from UConn. Will it happen? There's the ultimate onto Tails, the Tempered Fate. Oh, a big ultimate from Leo will shut down the hopes of UConn. And there's the mini Bestia again with the ultimate into the flay. The triple kill for Tails as well. Now taking up these turrets, the flash sideways, the swag from Clara, but that will just only create a quadra kill for Tails. They're now taking the Nexus turrets as well. RMU taking this one in a 2-0 up against UConn. Unbelievable play, so calculated, and they'll be going to the grand finals of the NACC.
Really controlled by RMU. Very controlled for the entire set of games. They hardly took bad fights against a team composition that can catch you out from such a distance. You know, we looked at what Bard could do here. We looked at how much of an impact that could have been, but RMU not phased. They just played standard. They just played safe.
Well, look at them right now. Look, they even look controlled in victory. And that's what they'll be taking to UBC in the finals. And you were asking the question of before of whether they'll be drawn in